You know, this time of year, many families are finding their groove, all right?
Hopefully.
Juggling the back-to-school activities. Of course, sports. Kids in sports, juggling that, certainly not easy.
Yeah, no. Part of the struggle, of course, making sure everyone is fed from breakfast to dinner, snacks, and more. But Meijer is here to help. We've got Beth Eggleston. She's a nutrition education specialist with ways we can fuel our student athletes. Beth, thanks so much for being here.
It's such a pleasure, always.
Yeah, it's a challenge, though, to make sure that your kids are getting enough food and getting the right nutrients because the day is so long and everyone's going every direction.
It absolutely is. That's why we have a ton of different things to fuel your student athlete here at Meijer.
There's always that awkward time, though. Like, school's over, then there's practice, and then there's dinner, and sometimes there's dinner, and then there's practice. I mean, it's
right.
How do you work that out, that awkward time?
And that's a really good question. And so it kind of comes down to how much time you have before the event, before the practice. So if your child is going straight to practice, I would recommend a really simple carbohydrate type snack, 15 to 30 grams. So we have some great examples up here. Dried fruit, banana or apples, granola bars, raisins, something that'll give them that quick burst of energy.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, that's that time. But you know, maybe they need something a little more substantial. Maybe
Absolutely.
you know, dinner's not going to be until really late. You know, things like that.
And if that's the case, then I would definitely recommend working in a little bit of protein as well. So if you have about 2 hours before your event or before your practice, you can certainly have a more complex carbohydrate. So oatmeal with milk, that's a great example of a complex carbohydrate with a protein source. Granola and Greek yogurt, another good example of that mixture.
And tasty, too.
I was going to say, I love
like
that.
all of those things.
Yes.
A lot of times people hear about things they should eat, say, after,
Yes.
like for recovery,
For
right?
recovery.
Are there any specific foods that we can use for that?
There very much are. And what's really important about recovery is adding that protein piece. So the rule of thumb is about 4 grams of carbohydrate to 1 gram of protein, but that is very complicated. We don't need to think about that. These are student athletes here. So one really good recovery drink is actually chocolate milk. It's got a great ratio of carbohydrate to protein. Other things you could do is hard-boiled eggs and crackers, or cheese and crackers, or again, that yogurt with granola, or a fruit and yogurt smoothie.
If you just told me that chocolate milk is a recovery drink,
In moderation, not the whole gallon.
I'm on board.
Yeah, right. Well, and then also talking hydration. Speaking of
Absolutely.
drinks, because that's super important. Because you know it's hard sometimes to get the kids to drink all the water, right?
It is, and if they're in an activity that's lasting less than an hour, usually water is all they need unless it's very hot or very humid. And so if they are participating in a sport that's longer than an hour, then a sports drink might be a good choice. Trying to drink 6 to 12 ounces every 15 minutes or so would be a good rule of thumb, and a gulp is about 2 ounces.
Okay, good to know. Okay, good
Okay.
to know.
So a couple gulps.
Yes,
Yeah,
a
and
few gulps.
there's so many sports drinks out there.
There are.
We want to get those electrolytes and all of those
Exactly.
things back into your body. All right, so we've got the handy snacks, we've got the more substantial, we've got the recovery and the hydration. Any other tips?
Other tips, definitely only eat what you know works well for your stomach before an event. If you're going to try a new food, do that before practice and not before the event. You don't want any GI distress.
Right.
And really toss the supplements. You can get almost everything you need from food. It's not necessary for the student athlete.
Okay, well, good, and save you money too.
Yes.
That way. All right, perfect. So all the beautiful whole foods, and of course, all available at Meijer.
All available at Meijer to fuel your athlete.
All right, wonderful. Thanks so much, Beth. Of course, you want to learn more? Meijer.com, where you find all that, do your shopping, get all the snacks, make sure your student athlete is well fed and hydrated. We'll be right back.